Today on Tanaka Homestead, I'm going to show you how I plant my onions. So I purchased my onions from Dixondale Farms. I really like this company. I think they're very reputable. I get my onions from them each year. What's really nice is when you receive your onions, and I have two packs that I ordered, it comes with an onion planting guide, which I think is very helpful, especially if you're new to growing onions. And then they include this, which I think is pretty neat. You know, it shows all the different varieties and talks about how to choose the variety that's good for your area. And there's a lot of really good information in this book as far as which onions to grow and what to expect during the growing process. So this is great. Like I said, great company. Because I live in Florida, I purchased two short day onion varieties. I got the Texas Sweet, the Texas Super Sweet, and then I also got the Texas Legend onion. Both are short day, and both are pretty tasty, and they get pretty big. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna separate my onions out. You're gonna notice when you get your pack of onions that some have big bulbs and some are much smaller. The smaller bulbs, I'm gonna use those for like bunching onions, like green onions. And then the ones that have the larger bulbs, I'm gonna use those to plant in the ground to get larger sized onions, like for burgers and so forth. So I'm gonna go ahead now and separate my onions out. These are all pretty tiny, so I'm going to set these aside. But for example, that's a nice size one. I'm going to set this in my large pile. So I have two piles, large and small. All right, so here are my two stacks. On the left, those were my decent sized bulbs. And on the right, they weren't, actually I see a couple in there, I'll probably move to the left, but mostly smaller in size, and they will serve as my green onions. So it's a pretty crappy day here in Florida. It's cool out, it's rainy, it's kind of gross, but I need to get these onions in the ground. I'm gonna go ahead and get my black cow in my raised garden beds, and I'm gonna add my bone meal, and then I'm going to loosen up the soil. So I have my tray, I have my larger bulbed onions right here, and then I have my smaller onions here. These I'm gonna let grow and become the larger size onions, and these I'm going to use as my green onions. You can definitely see the size difference as far as the bulbs. So what I'm going to do for these, since I want these to get bigger, I'm going to space these about 4 to 5 inches apart, probably more on the side of 5. I like to use my trowel first, and I'm going to go through and mark where I want the onions to be, and then I'm going to go down about 1 inch deep. For these are going to be my green onions. I'm going to go down 1 inch deep, but I'm going to space these about 2, maybe 3 inches apart. So you can see I have all my holes marked. Towards the end, I started just following where the other holes were. So you don't have to continue to measure with the trowel itself. I do that the first row usually, and then I just look at where the previous holes were placed and I kind of follow that template. But now I'm going to go ahead and put my onions in the middle of each of these holes. I ran out of large bulbed onions, but I went ahead and made holes approximately 2 inches apart, and I'm going to go ahead and plant my smaller bulbed onions, which will eventually be green onions. Yummy, yummy. In this last bed, I put my green onions in the middle, making sure they were at least 5 inches from my larger onions, because of course I want those to grow. And then in the other beds, I just have my larger onions spaced, honestly, probably about 6 inches apart, just to be safe, because I went with the length of the trowel, and 1 inch deep. Thank you so much for watching our channel. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. Happy gardening. Bye-bye.